Let's get this show on the road. Big Sills, National Football Show. Welcome to the start of official free agency day in the National Football League. 4 o'clock Eastern time is when the ball falls, and we'll know a little bit more, but it has been an absolutely incredible day today so far, even with the news we're hearing out in New York with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is prepared to play for the Jets. The holdup is the Packers. There's a lot of movement going on around the NFL, and most notably, especially with the Birds. Potentially, the Philadelphia Eagles could lose 7 players off their defense. Epps gone. Hargrave gone. I'm saying Fletcher Cox is gone. TJ Edwards gone. Slay will be released. We told you he was not going to redo his deal. We got some of the information on that too. And a little bit behind the scenes here on what the Eagles were trying to do with him. Kaiser White, gone. Gardner Johnson, I don't know. I think it's 50-50. I do. I think it's the Eagles wanting him back is the only thing, in my opinion, keeping him in the conversation. But attaboys aren't going to cut it anymore. Hey, what did I tell you about that Rashad Penny deal? Look at the Philly media making that thing look like supposedly it's a good sign. It's a nothing sign. It's a nothing burger sign. He was a bomb failure in Seattle. He's had 11 starts, but yet people are trying to make that look like he couldn't beat a 6-rounder out. Anyway, we'll get to that again, and we'll do a little bit more on that. I want to give you a little bit of the details that went on in trying to work around and work with Darius Slay. And I told you this yesterday. Drew Rosenhaus was going to have none of this. They were going to have none of this. You were not going to be able to move him at his expense to a team that was not going to be a contender. Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey, his agent, felt it was in their client's best interest at 32 to kind of pull off a little bit of what James Bradbury did, albeit he's 32. He's not Bradbury's age. But if he's going to go somewhere, he's going to pick his destination with an opportunity to win ball games. I mean, so they were not going to restructure a contract so they could move him. And on top of that, they wanted him to take a pay cut. That was not going to happen. The Eagles wanted Darius Slay to take a pay cut, restructure his deal so they could move him. Drew Rosenhaus went like this. Fuck that. Not happening. That's why he's being released. So now over the next 2 years, the Eagles will have to defer that money out of $26 million against the cap. Once again, dead cap money on the Eagle cap. $26 million, 13 this year, 13 next year. They'll be able to defer it out because of the new collective bargaining agreement. They were not going to restructure the contract and take a pay cut. Not happening. Not happening. So now he gets to pick his destination. And with the market being what it is, Slay's not going to make $18 million, but he's not going to take that much of a haircut. So you let a Pro Bowl cornerback out of the building. You don't think that's going to be a loss? Now, again, if somebody told me, Sills, would you rather have Gardner Johnson or Slay? I think Gardner Johnson has a chance to be a superstar. And I think Slay has, again, see, to me, Slay being moved, I told you this 3 months ago. I don't have a problem with this. He's 32. Move him. Why? He still has value. But the Eagles would rather take the hit on the cap. And they only have 6 draft picks. I mean, they wanted him to take a pay cut, and they wanted him to restructure so that they could move him to a place like Houston. Drew Rosenhaus said absolutely not happening. That's why he's being cut. Okay? I love all the people. And by the way, weren't you Philly fans telling me that all these guys were going to take pay cuts? Not one guy is taking a pay cut to stay in Philadelphia. Not one player. They're all getting career contracts. And everyone keeps going, hey, well, maybe Jalen will take a hometown discount. Why? Not one of these guys are going to take a hometown discount. And by the way, I found out a little bit of that Rashad Penny deal. His base salary is 1.2. He's actually making $1 million less than what Miles Sanders was. It's a dollar store sign. And some would go like this, Sil, there's really no damage if the guy doesn't really pan out. You're right. That's why it's a nothing burger sign. I saw Joe Banner talking shit that this is a typical dude, bringing in good players. Like when you brought Bradbury in, that was a great sign. He was a year removed from a Pro Bowl. This guy has never been a star in Seattle. But he is now. I get it. I guess you got to kiss Howie's ass to get in a NovaCare Center so you can get a key fob or something. I don't know. So again, I'll ask you this question and I'll make this statement that I made 2 days ago. It's a brand new defense. It's a brand new defense schematically. It's a brand new defense personnel-wise. You think you're a Super Bowl contender still. Sills, you haven't seen anything in free agency. Are you thinking that you're going to sign some gigantic player in free agency and bring him into Philly this year? You better pump the brakes on that. Let me tell you, and I'll give you this. The two best moves so far in Philadelphia has been the decision of Jason Kelce wanting to come back and play, and Bradbury's re-signing with the team and getting a new contract. That's good news. That's a good day. Losing 7 defensive. And again, Seth Joyner went on my Twitter page and said that it's not that much of a loss. Are you kidding me? Losing 7 off your 11 guys? And you're changing the scheme to a 34? Hey, no disrespect, but Seth, let me throw this at you. To run a 34, you have to have linebackers. They don't have one. They don't have one guy in the building to play a 34. Not one. Or, how about this? Not one that's proven anything. Now, I will say this about Bradbury, what's being reported. There were other deals out there that, according to some agents, that he could have grabbed, but they were lesser opportunities and lesser franchises. So let me pump the brakes on guys taking hometown discounts. Bradbury could have got a little more money somewhere else. I don't know where that is. Okay, I couldn't sit here and lie to you and tell you that I knew the teams that Bradbury had. I knew there were a bunch of them. So he did take a little less to come back and play in Philly. So I want to pump the brakes on that. Okay? There's no question. So I'll ask you again, as I did on March 13th. You really think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender with no defense and a brand new defense? The number 2 ranked defense in the NFL is now officially gone. You sign Bradbury and you lose the other Pro Bowl corner. It's not quite a wash because I think Bradbury's better. Did you get better, though? You still lost a guy. And now, remember what I said? You now crawl into the well of unknown. Sills, we're going to draft Devon Witherspoon, albeit 100% behind it. You're still in the land of unknown. Whereas you had certainty with professional players and veterans. The Eagles' 2023 defense is the land of unknown. You're going to lose both your defensive tackles. You've lost both your linebackers. You've already lost one safety and one corner. Guys, what are you talking about? John goes, just wanted to wish you a great day, brother. I really enjoy listening to your football talk. Sports are a beautiful thing. John, it really is. I will say this to you, though, too, John and others. The one thing that keeps it in the room for the Eagles and keeps the balance sheet looking a little decent for them, even with all these exits. Now that Aaron Rodgers is out of the NFC. The NFC is weakened again, more so than the Eagles losing Darius Slay. Watch this. Darius Slay is not on the Eagles. Aaron Rodgers is not in the NFC. Boy, I'll tell you, the one thing in Green Bay is a big deal. That's a big deal. Jordan Love, good luck. That's the land of unknown, too. That's the land of unknown. They roll into the land of unknown. Get this. You want to know something that's crazy? The Philadelphia Eagles got more stability now at quarterback than what Green Bay has. And Green Bay had stability at the quarterback position for over 30 years. Over 30 years, they didn't have to worry about that position between Favre and Rodgers. Now, you're in the land of unknown. Good luck. You moved off a 4-time Super Bowl, a 4-time MVP for a dude you're not sure can play? Man, that is a nosedive into the unknown. So, did the Eagles, watch this, did the Eagles get better today? Some would go, Sills, they lost Darius Slay. I get it. But did the Eagles get better because Rodgers is not in the NFC? There's kind of a trade-off there with that. What I'm saying is it gives you more time to rebuild and retool. Because you're not in the AFC. AFC, that's where all the quarterbacks are now. Okay? Joseph goes, still the best offense in the NFC. Yeah. Yes. You may have one of the worst defenses. You probably will have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And that doesn't translate to playoffs. Football is the ultimate team sport. You just can't have a one-sided football team. And some of you will go, well, that's okay. Wait for Howie to do what? Get younger and cheaper. Because at the end of the day, there's still the hanging chad out there that you got to pay Hurts. I'll tell you this, if they didn't have to pay Hurts, I think they'd be really active in free agency like they were a year ago. They can't now. Shit, they're retooling guys, restructuring and trying to restructure guys. They're releasing and losing people to free agency. Completely a 360 from a year ago. Why? Because you got to sign the quarterback. No getting around it. This is what the collateral damage of signing a quarterback to a $50 million deal that I've been prepping you for 7 months. No matter how good the guy is. No matter how good he is. You will never have what you had in 22. A balance sheet that showed you a roster that could have been the best roster in the Super Bowl era in Philadelphia. You're never going to have that team again. You're not even going to be remotely close to it. The turnover now. So you think they're going to go into free agency with deals of C's and D's and the draft and have the second-ranked defense in the NFL? Who in their right mind would think that? This team is not a playoff team. You don't have a defense. You don't have a defense. And you got to pay your quarterback, who's not the guy in Kansas City. Hey, by the way, remember what I told you? The Philadelphia Eagles are either going to be the Cowboys or Kansas City. And what I mean by that is, you see what the Cowboys have to do today? Zeke Elliott is being released. So in the last couple of years, they've lost Amari Cooper, Zeke Elliott, because they paid the quarterback and they don't win. The guy in Kansas City got $500 million and still wins Super Bowls. That's the difference. I don't believe Hurts can do it. I think he needs a complete team around him. Look at this. Look at the money, man. I guess I got to constantly just keep reminding myself. And by the way, I have no guest today. It's just you and me. The Patriots have just signed Juju Smith-Schuster to a 3-year, $33 million deal. That guy's getting $11 million a year. Wow. Now, they can do that. Why? Well, their quarterback's on a rookie contract. $11 million for a guy who was saved by Patrick Mahomes. Man. How are you going to replace this defense? How are you replacing it? I'll tell you what, before I continue to go on, you're not a playoff team. As of March 15th, even with a potential re-signing of Gardner Johnson, you better pray you sign that guy. Okay, you're not a playoff team. And once again, I disagree with Seth. I don't think you can lose 7 starters and call yourself a playoff team. And then again, you tell me about Jordan Davis. I don't see it yet. Nakobe Dean. I don't see it yet. M. Reyes. NFC still hasn't proven they can stop our offense. Haas. I know that. But you have no defense to stop anybody. Anton, I've been thinking this since last week. Hey, Tone, can you give me Anton's again, please? I want to make sure I read it. I've been thinking this since last week. What did the Eagles pay McNabb? How did they rebuild the 2024 team around him? Give us a history lesson, Sills. Again, he wasn't one of the higher because you know why? Who were the big-time guys that you paid when it came to the rest of the team offensively? You paid T.O. for 1 year, and then the rest of them were dudes. Deshaun, okay? The money now takes up more of the cap. The escalated salary of the quarterback position has gone beyond the market. You're now into $50 million. The cap only went up $16 million. The salaries for the quarterbacks are going up from 38 to 45 to 50. They're actually outpacing the cap. That's the difference. The difference is the salary for the quarterback in the NFL is outpacing the increase in the cap. Very simple. Not hard to do the math. Big Seals, other than picking the Eagles, I'm sorry I missed that. Bears, if you think we aren't a playoff team in the NFC, whatever, guy. Bro, you don't have to be here. I do. Okay? How are you replacing? Let me just put it out here for you guys. Before I respond and tell you how I would try to replace this thing, okay? This defense couldn't. Your number 2 defense last year couldn't stop Dak. This thing here that you're going to put on the field as of March 15th, that could put 60 on you. Prescott will put 60 on you. How are you replacing this? Oh, and by the way, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, those guys better do something. Because last year, F. Steal of the draft. Couldn't get on the field with Kaiser White. You guys keep telling me, oh, I know now all of a sudden Kaiser White sucks, who just got a $5.5 million contract in Arizona. I know he sucks. And the guy who's now the head coach out there was his coordinator. How come he couldn't beat him out? If the guy sucks so bad, why couldn't he beat him out? Jordan Davis, once he got healthy and came back, couldn't beat two 36-year-old defensive tackles out. And he was the 13th pick? That's a joke. That's a joke. Impact. Where? Give me a break. Sills, looks like the kid from Georgia is starting to really fall. Dude, I'm telling you, if Jalen Carter's at 10, I'm not waiting a second. I am grabbing that guy and scooping that guy up as quick as I possibly can. If he hasn't killed anybody and he hasn't become a total tool, I am drafting him. Short of killing someone, I am drafting him. I am taking him. If you could put Michael Vick in your organization and tolerate Riley Cooper, Jalen Carter in a car wreck, unfortunately cost someone their life, which he wasn't driving, albeit, I get it, I don't care. I'm drafting him. Howie Roseman never built a dynasty here. Push the chips in for 1 year, and this is it. Now, you got a brand new team to build. This is a team sport. This is not 9-on-7. This is not 9-on-7. T goes in Howie we trust. Hey, T, let me ask you something. Give me a grade on what you think Andre Dillard's career was in Philadelphia. He's a first-round pick with Howie. Tell me, what was his grade? From Stoutland University. What was his grade? What was his grade? Give me a grade. I'll tell you know what? I won't even comment. You tell me what you think Andre Dillard's career was in Philly. C+, F, D, 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 C. First round pick. Oh, Arthur goes, Dillard was insurance. So you wasted a first round pick on a seatbelt. Congratulations to you. It failed. It failed. And you went cheap on the back. Did you see? I told you this would happen. I told you this. They turned that Rashad Penny deal into some sort of like Walter Payton deal. I mean, tell me this. Tone, everyone, tell me something. If they thought that guy was so good, why did the Seahawks draft Kenneth Walker III from Michigan State a year ago if they thought this kid was so good? Once he got hurt, this guy finished second. And the rookie of the year offensively in the AFC. They looked at him and went, he's our guy. That guy, goodbye. If they thought that guy was so good, why'd they draft him in the second round? Come on. I've wasted more time on Rashad Penny on my show than I ever wanted to. Pump the brakes. CJ and Bradbury weren't even part of the team until like mid-June. You're way overreacting. Vet, we're talking about one or two dudes. You've lost 7 starters as of today. Until CJ checks his name off, he's on the land of non-Eagle. I think it's 50-50. The Dallas Cowboys, because they paid their quarterback, have officially cut Ezekiel Elliott. Bye. The collateral damage of signing a guy who failed when you signed those big contracts. Another one in the side of the sill stocking. When you sign these guys, hey, I said this yesterday about San Francisco. They can't figure out the quarterback, but they could surely figure out how to get to an NFC title game. Eagles pay your guy, you'll have more exits. Nobody in the NFL has 3 offensive linemen making $15 million and north of it. No one, except Philly. You better have the best O-line. You got 3 guys in that O-line making north of $15 million. You better be good. You got more money invested in your O-line and 3 dudes than what the entire defense has on the other side. No, I got it, Anton. I read it. Hard to take. And again, I disagree with Seth on this. 7 off your 11. It's a brand new team. How are you making the playoffs? Oh, we have Hurts. And? Do you know the pressure now that you put on him? Boy, don't get hurt, Jalen. Dual threat. Now you put more stress on dual threat. You better make sure you are we're trying to take that number down. Anton, please repost it then. I'll read it. Just okay. New defensive coaches. No, Aaron Rodgers announced, and I'll get to that. And I did. I actually watched it. My favorite part of that whole thing is that he took a shit on every single NFL media. It's the people that I fight all the time too, that immediately go on Twitter or go on social media platforms and rip me for some of my takes, or some of the people that talk to me because they get so panty bit and they get so much in a panty bind when I say something, they attack me. He told Adam Schefter, lose my number, dude. You don't know dick. He said Diane Rossini is a bull-faced liar. I've demanded nothing. The Packers are holding the deal up because you know why? Green Bay wants compensation. But the media, because they hated him for being a vaxxer and not getting vaccinated, are still taking it out on him. And so that's why now all the scumbag media people will all rally around one another, defend each other, and call Aaron names, when at the end of the day, they're all people who stood in the stands with a pad and piece of paper and were witnesses to guys like me. There. I said it. All the guys who hate all the guys who get the big jobs in the media, like Tom Brady, all those little guys take shots at people because you know why? That's all they'll ever be, is little guys. Okay? They all rally around their little guys and their minions. Did you see what he said about Mia Kimes? Did you see that? Whatever her name is, knows nothing. All the media guys. Oh, Aaron, this is Aaron. Yeah, like Aaron has say where he's going to go. He has some. It's the Jets. The Jets are the ones that made the call. Wasn't Rodgers? You think Rodgers picked the phone up and went, hey, I want to play in New York? Unbelievable. 7 players off your defense. Eagles today are not a playoff team. But hey, the draft will fix it. Bradbury, Witherspoon, CJ, and Maddox will be a great secondary. Slay is long in the tooth. Great move, in my opinion. Really. You think moving off a Pro Bowl? Hey, I think moving off $18 million is the right thing to do, Anton. But moving off a Pro Bowl talent, you think is easy, right? Not me, man. It's the talent that you're going to miss. I get the cap. You're right. Moving off Slay's financially the right thing to do. And you want to hear something else? Again, the Hargrave deal, I think San Francisco overpaid for him. I think watch this. I think he's a really good pass rusher. You could put him in a 3 or a 1 technique. I think he's good as a pass rusher, but as a run stopper, I don't know. C? B+ pass rusher? Is that $20 million? I don't think so. I could put that $20 million on a corner or an edge rusher. You know what I mean? Or spread it out. I don't know. To me, that's a little deep, and I'm not going to go into that pocket like that. I'm not going to go into that. So, Seth's talking to me on my Twitter too, blowing me up. $22 million, Yale. $22 million. Hey, Tone, do me a favor. Keep an eye on what Seth is saying on my Twitter page too. Just keep an eye on it because he's going back and forth with me as well because people are now reaching out to me because of what I said about Slay and his reluctant to redo his contract for the Eagles because he knew they wanted him they were going to move him. Remember I said this at the end of the show yesterday? Remember that, Tone, I said at the end of the show? The Eagles made it very clear who they wanted back. Gardner Johnson and Bradbury. It wasn't Slay. They wanted him to take a pay cut, and they wanted him to redo his deal so they could move him for draft choices. Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey said, absolutely no way. Teams that are interested in him, Commanders, Cowboys, Falcons, Patriots. Slay's not going to get paid. He's 32. He may get a 2-year. Look, you know what you're starting to see a little bit in free agency as well? You're starting to see a lot of 2-year deals. You're not seeing teams wanting to get tied up because I think that's a little bit of Howie vision. Teams see what Howie did, 1-2-year deals. I think you're going to start seeing more of a trend of that. Instead of these 4 years or 5-year contracts, I don't think you're going to see that because you know why? The player doesn't even want it because they know it's monopoly money in the back end of the deal. It's the signing bonus. Me too. If I'm climbing over 27 years of age, I'm not signing a 4-year contract because the last 2 years of that contract, you can whack me and I get no money. Forget that. 2 years, guaranteed money. Let's go. Let's go. I think 2-year deals is something that has spawned and has been spawned by the guy in Philly. I do. I think Howie has a lot to do with that. But again, that means you have to have a cap guy, which he is, and a deal guy, which he is. It becomes more of an emphasis on free agency now, though. But again, you get your hands tied because your quarterback makes $50 million. He'd have more room, and I know Yale agrees with me on this. He'd have more latitude and more freedom to move if he didn't have to pay the quarterback $50 million. And as I said to you a couple minutes ago, I think Roseman would have been one of the preeminent free agent players if he didn't have to pay this dude. But now he's lost half his team. Now you're talking about losing half your team. Look at the team Hurts is coming back to. 50% of what that team was a year ago. You don't have the second-ranked defense. You don't even have the same defense. Shit, you don't even have the same coaches. You're in the land of unknown. 33%. This is what made what he did yesterday unprecedented, or last year, I should say, Howie Roseman. 33% of free agents, according to the National Football League, actually are an impact on teams. And what all those guys did last year in trades and free agency was unprecedented. You guys tried that with that superstar team with Chip Kelly, and it blew up. So you're 1 for 1. It did get you to a Super Bowl. Phenomenal. That team's not a Super Bowl team right now. Because you're just like every other. You're like Dallas right now. Difference is the Cowboys own you with Dak. Yale goes, he hit on all of them. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Kaiser White was good. You know how you know? This guy just signed a $5.5 million deal. Bradbury just signed a huge deal that he wanted in New York. He got his deal. CJ right now is negotiating with a bunch of teams, but he feels tied. Now, I'll get this. The new coordinator, I'm sure, is making a pitch. I think he's a potential star, Gardner Johnson. I do. I think he's a potential star. Hard for me to say because he's a Gator, but whatever. Free agents get overpaid. Richie, I think that's the overstatement of the day or understatement of the day. Dude, the money that's being tossed around, Juju Smith-Schuster just got $11 million a year. What? My God almighty, what's Devontae Smith going to make? Devontae Smith, Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, I don't know. It's not close, right? So you're going to have two $25 million quarterbacks? Or wide receivers and a $50 million quarterback? Since when? Good luck with that thing. I saw Diggs redid his deal. That's how they're going to keep his ass. They had to redo his deal or he would have been cut too. $11 million tweets. I don't know, man. Guy trolls the Eagle guys, and I don't know. I guess he was good in the game. Lazard got $20 million guaranteed. I mean, really? Dude, Devontae Smith's going to make a king's ransom. Okay? Eagle goes, Sileo said nobody would take a Philly haircut at a hometown discount. Yeah, one guy did. The rest of them said, screw you. The rest of them said, forget it. And then you went cheap on the running back and you got a dime store dollar kid who's constantly broken down. That's what you did. You went and got a running back who's hurt more than Miles Sanders and less productive. This is a Howie move. How? Where do you see that? And Rashad Penny. 6.2, 11 starts in 5 years. And then they go out and draft a running back in the second round last year before he was hurt. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. They really had high expectations on Rashad Penny in Seattle. Yeah. Bradbury did have other offers. Javon didn't take no haircut. And the Eagles put a 3-year, $51 million deal on the table. You know what he said? I'm taking the $84 million 4-year deal with 60 guaranteed. TJ Edwards took no hometown discount. He's in Chicago. Epps is in. Where's Epps? Where's Epps? He's Chicago too? Wow. Now, here's something else to think. Okay? And I'm asking you one more time here, how are you replacing this defense? So, let's do this. Your new coordinator's believer in the 34. You understand that's 4 down, that's 3 linebackers, or 4 linebackers, and 3 D linemen. So you're going to put Jordan Davis at the nose, Sweat at one end. Good. Who's the other end? Because you're going to pay Reddick as an OLB in the 34. You're not playing him as a traditional end. He's too small. Who's playing the other end? Brandon Graham, 35? All right, that's not bad. So your D-line and your 34 is Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, and Jordan Davis. Now your 4 linebacker, Hassan Reddick, Nakobe Dean. Who are the other 2 guys? Who's the other guy? Who's the other 2? Who's the other 2 linebackers? Do you have them? Fletcher ain't coming back. Fletcher's going to make money in the open market. Oh, so you're going back into free agency? Bobby Wagner? Bobby Wagner is going to make some money. Who are at a 34 with Desai, your new coordinator? Who are your other 2 back? Are you going to draft them? Christian who? Draft. So you're going to draft, okay, Christian Ellis. and we'll just say a draft. Okay. Bradbury's now your corner 1. If you re-sign C.J. Gardner, are you moving him to corner? Are you moving him to corner? Or are you going to keep him? You lose Epps. I don't know. I might entertain moving him to corner. You had 3 Pro Bowlers in the secondary. Okay, so you're going to keep him. It's going to be Blankenship and him, right? Blankenship and CJ. And a rookie at corner. So here's your defense. Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat as your 3-down lineman. 35-year-old guy, you're going to count on now. Milton Williams could probably play a little end out there and give him some give him some rest. So I would probably do this, right? Milton Williams, Brandon Graham. I'm trying to get to what it's going to look like here. Kansas City did it. Yeah, they had Mahomes. Kansas City did it because they had Patrick Mahomes. You don't have Patrick Mahomes. So I'd say Brandon Graham and Milton Williams could be like, they could be your end over here on the right side. Fair enough? Jordan Davis at the nose. Okay? Josh Sweat, who I like a lot. Your other end. Derek Barr. Let's not get absurd. Your OLB is going to be Hassan Reddick, Nakobe Dean, Christian Ellis, a draft guy, 34. You need 4 backers. Or are you going to play a 50 front with 3 and... See, the one thing that the Eagles had defensively last year, they had versatility because they had so much depth. You don't have that any longer. By the way, are you going to bring Joseph or Sue back? Would you entertain bringing one of those guys back? Sue will probably be too expensive. Would you think about bringing Linville Joseph back? Hey, no. I'm working with you here. I'm trying to figure out the defense. Would you bring back one of those guys? I'm depending on what he wanted, I might think about bringing back one of them dudes. Right? So you're going to have to draft a backer, which they don't. This kid, Christian Ellis, is going to have to take the role of TJ Edwards. And Nakobe Dean is going to have to be another inside linebacker. Or do you put him outside on the other end? To me, he's a weak side linebacker. He ain't an inside backer. I think he's a weak side. He's a weak side guy. I'm not putting that guy in the middle. Guy get crushed. Especially if that nose isn't doing the job. You need to have a nose guard in there that is a baller. And I haven't seen the guy yet ball that you drafted 13th a year ago. Relative says, hey, Sills, how much of the Birds' defensive statistical success do you think was due to the offensive time of possession? That's a fabulous take. That's a fabulous take. A lot. And I get where you're going. You're correct. You're correct. Okay? You're correct. That's what's going to have to happen this coming season. So again, here's what your defense looks like as of March. Jeez, wait. We can't put Gardner Johnson in there yet because you don't have him. Oh, whoa. He's not a safety yet. No. You don't get that. That's wishful thinking. He's not an Eagle yet. So you got Milton Williams and Brandon Graham at one end, Jordan Davis at nose, Josh Sweat at the other end. You got Hassan as an outside linebacker. By the way, you're going to play him on the strong side? Okay. So now he's got to take on tight ends because you got to play Dean on the weak side. He's too small to play inside. In a 34, he's taking guys like Landon Dickerson on. He's taking people that are huge human beings, and he's a little dude. You see, in a 40 front, you cover that guy up. In a 30 front, you don't. You've got to fill and be a guy who's a gap filler. If you're a little dude and you're taking on, he's a little guy. So I'm playing that guy on the weak side. You got to replace 2 inside linebackers. And you're saying this kid Christian Ellis can, and then you're going to have to draft another inside linebacker. Because you don't have a guy in the roster right now. One corner, you got Bradbury. The other corner, you don't have a guy. You got to draft a dude. Your safety, you have Blankenship as of right now. And you may have to draft another guy. You know what you may have to do at 10 and 31? You may have to draft a safety and a corner, depending on how today or maybe Thursday or Friday works out. Once again, I think CJ's a 50-50 deal. I think I would lean more towards he's coming back too. But that's a lot of money. But that's why Fletcher can't come back. He's at a 14.4 salary now. Assuming the Eagles, this is Tone, assuming the Eagles lose Gardner Johnson and knowing what we know about the roster, what should be the on-field defensive philosophy in 2023? Stop the run because they're going to attack it in the new scheme. And they know you don't have the same personnel as you did a year ago. What was the one thing that gave the Eagles the great autonomy on that side of the ball that they don't have as of March 15th? What was it? They could go to a 50 front. They could go to a 43. They could go to a 34. They could play a version of a 46. They could play a version of a wide 9. Why? Depth, talent, secondary play, linebackers, all of that were all hitting on sync. And their versatility. And it wasn't Gannon's scheme. It was the players. Fuel. Yeah, okay. So FanDuel has the Eagles as a top 5 Super Bowl team with no defense. A brand new defense. Stupid. Now, to my friend's comment that he paid $10 on, here's how you help your defense. There's going to have to be a lot of, to me, if I were the Eagles, I wouldn't want big play, big strike plays where I'm scoring on 1 or 2, 3 plays and getting up on a team. You're going to have to wear teams out. 10-play drives, 13-play drives. But what does that do? It puts more stress on your quarterback because your quarterback is going to have to run the ball more because you don't have a running game like you did a year ago. You think it's going to be that easy to replace 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns? Again, you're in the land of unknown. That's wishful thinking again. Gainwell in Boston and this guy Penny will take over for a guy who had 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. Really? And Jalen was still trending for 200 carries. You don't think that number is still going to continue to escalate? How do you not think that? He'll never play 17 games as a Philadelphia Eagle. He hasn't yet. He'll never. And now with more stress on him, the chances of that guy playing 17 games has even diminished even more so. 4,000 passing yards. Let's see if he makes it to 15 games. Let's see if he can get to 15 games. Lamar Jackson can't. Why? Oh, because he squad 6. Whatever. Stupid. Tyler goes, give Dean and Davis a chance. Well, they're going to get their chance. They're going to get. Oh, are you kidding me? Howie Roseman's drafting from last year and this year are coming front and center. And remember something. He has failed on 2 number 1 picks in the last 2 years by getting rid of Jalen Reagor and Andre Dillard. Those were 2 ones that bombed. But he's going to replace them. Okay. I mean, Nobody in Philly is bringing up another first-round failure by Roseman, and they're telling you that Penny's a great sign, but Dillard was a failure in Philly. Are you that afraid of that team as media members? Are you that afraid to open your mouths? Man, you have no balls. You have no balls. Dillard was a free agent, Jack Wagon. They just let him walk. You let a guy walk out the building you drafted in the first round, and you're losing Sayamalo. Nobody even remotely brought up, why not put Dillard at the right guard? Not even a conversation. Just let him walk out the building. And again, I'm with you, man. I hated his attitude too. The fact that he couldn't be flexible was totally shitty. I get it. And I agree. Okay? Still a bomb. And still a failure. Yelkos, I'm not sweating any of that. You're not sweating the fact that he failed on 2 first-round picks? Really? Okay. And all of a sudden now he's going to turn into Chuck Noll, right? Start drafting Hall of Famers? Is that right, Yale? He failed at a wide receiver and he failed at an O-lineman. And he actually failed at a quarterback in Carson Wentz. But hey, he'll get it right with 6 picks. And 7 guys to replace potentially on defense. Brian goes, everybody fails. Okay, true. Andre Dillard, Carson Wentz, Jalen Reagor. I mean, is Miles Sanders, was he a failure? Not saying Miles was a first rounder. He let Sanders walk, or didn't he give a shit? In my opinion, I think they're going to get Gardner Johnson back. I do. That to me, you get him back, you're kind of in the room, but you still have so much to replace. Jets drafted Zach Wilson, the real. You're comparing yourself to the Jets now? The Jets suck. I mean, they have to go get a 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers. The Jets, please, if you're comparing organizations, don't let it be the Jets. Give me a franchise like Pittsburgh. No, Sills, I'm saying teams that I get it. But again, Howie Roseman's strengths. Dude, just go with me on his strengths. Howie's strengths are in deal making, restructuring of contracts, not personnel. And he's going to have to be, and by the way, I think he's pretty good on pro personnel. I don't think he's very good at college personnel. And I like his new philosophy. He's hanging out in the SEC, which he should. Hang out in the SEC, Ohio State, and Clemson. You're not going to go wrong there. At least your chances of going wrong are limited. That's what drafting is. When you draft a turd out of North Dakota State, you get Carson Wentz and Trey Lance. That's what you get. Because They're not only in the land of unknown, they're in the land of unknown and who you play unknown. 4 o'clock's coming. I can't wait because we're going to start hearing deals drop right now. I want to take a timeout. Hit the like button. Folks, free agency officially is underway. Does Gardner Johnson come back to Philadelphia? Let's hit on that. Let's move forward here. It's only you and me today. One of the biggest days in the NFL. This is Christmas. Hour 2. Keep it here on the National.